Hi, everyone. My name is Juliana, and I'm DevRel at NodeOps, and welcome to today's live stream. This is part 2 of how to import Spotify to Tidal. So if you were here in part 1, welcome back. If you missed part 1, you're welcome to go back to our Twitter and our YouTube and rewatch part 1. So we did a lot in part 1. It was a 1-hour stream, and we went through going through what the idea of the project was, as well as like how to create a front end, how to check the licensing, and we finally got a working application. And so we'll continue off of that. Part 2, and the last part, will be turning this application into a template on NodeOps Marketplace, and of course Dockerizing it. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're building today. So if you guys don't know what Spotify or Tidal is, Spotify is a streaming service. Tidal is also a streaming service. The reason why people import from Spotify to Tidal or import their playlists is because, well, one, if you want to switch services from Spotify to Tidal, but also if you're a DJ. So certain DJing softwares like Recordbox and Serato only work with Tidal. For some reason, they just don't connect to Spotify, its Tidal. So if you're aspiring DJ or somebody who is planning or is DJing and you find it painful to manually import your playlist from Spotify Tidal, because the only other way is to add them one at a time. There is a way to automate it and you can do it in seconds. So you can see that in part 1. So let me take you into my desktop. Okay, so here was the plan. One more thing. If any of you are in the chat, go ahead and say hi. Hey there. Hey there, Kaga. Good to see you again. Any of you in the chat, ping us and let me know where you're watching this from. I'm live streaming from New York and it is chilly 58 degrees. I don't know what that is in Celsius. So yeah, let me know where you're coming from. Okay, so the plan, this was the plan. 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 6. We got up to step 3. So to go over what we did last time, we talked about the DJing software, Recordbox and Serato. If you don't know what that is, um, Spotify. I have Spotify open here. Here, this is my Spotify, and here's my Tidal. Very similar, very, very similar. It's just the same music streaming service. The thing is, I have, I think, about 100 Spotify playlists on the left. These are all of my different playlists just accumulated through the years. And here is my Tidal. So I only have 2 playlists here, and I can absolutely, delete these and import them through the software that we're using. So going back to the plan, we talked about that. We also talked about licensing. So we started off with open source software. Can we monetize it? Does it feel like stealing? Sometimes. But is it legal? Yes. We looked at the licensing, and luckily for us, the open source software we were working with was AGPL3, which I forget what this stands for. I should actually link you to where we started from. Spotify to Tidal here. This was our open source software. This is the licensing over here. Yeah, Affero General Public License. This specific license allows this software, allows you to monetize off of this software. So that's what we did. This software, it was just a command line. It was something that it's a Python script that you can, just run from your command line. But it doesn't have a front end. It doesn't have a server. So that's what we did. We did step 3, where we generated a front end by vibe coding it through Cursor. We were able to capture the Spotify client ID, secret, and username. And also we had an input box for the Spotify URL or URI of the playlist that you want to copy. We set up a sync button. We also set it up so that you went through to Tidal OAuth after. And then we vibe coded it all out and we tested it and it worked. That was the end of the last stream. So we're at a really good point here. The next step, though, is to Dockerize it. So now that we have this working application working locally, how can we Dockerize it so that we can share a copy of our application globally? So I'll show you how to do that in this stream. And then also, once we have a working Docker image, we're going to submit it to the NodeOps marketplace. One thing I'm going to add today, if we have time to get there, is what happens when we change our code. So you know software is always changing. So what happens when we introduce a new feature to the original code? So that would require re-Dockerizing it, updating your Docker. It would also include updating your NodeOps marketplace. Update the template in NodeOps. Okay, so now anybody who uses your software gets the latest version if you introduced a new feature. So I think this is something we can probably get through to today. All right, so it's 11:06. We're 6 minutes in. Let's dive in. Okay. Also, if anybody is here, just say hi in the chat. Hey, welcome back, guys. Hey, Idol, Lakinza. Here's a. Here we go. Yes, awesome, Sultan. That's right. All right, let's go into the code base. Okay. Hey guys. Hey Crypt. Okay. All right. So here's my code base. I started a new repo. If you guys want to follow along, or git fork it if you want. It's here. Hub.com. Juliana Peace. Spot to title. Here. I'm just going to put it in the chat so you guys can see. All right. This GitHub URL that I just shared is exactly what I have open here in my cursor. All right, so you guys can follow along. Everything's there. The only thing that's not there are my commented out files. These are my secrets, you know. But so what I did was I asked AI and I generated a Docker file. Now let me go over the Docker file real quick. So we had a working application the last time we streamed. Then I went into AI for reference. I use Cursor. There's a little, it's got a built-in AI agent. I think I pay $20 a month for it. And I go over here on the right side and I go ahead and ask, can you generate a Docker file for my project so I can run it in Docker? So it did, and it generated this file for me. And a Docker file is just a set of instructions to containerize your application. So it works, it runs linearly from top to bottom. So line number 1 to line number 26 is every step it takes from building an application, starting from a base. Let me make this bigger. Starting from a base, copying all the files you need, creating the files that you need, and then all the commands you need to run it. So this Docker file works, and that's what I'm going to show you today. You also need to have Docker installed on your machine. Hey guys, welcome. If you don't have, I don't think I'm going to go over installing Docker this time because I feel like I have enough content for that. But basically, you have to install Docker on your machine, and I have it open here. I'm on a Mac. You can tell it's open because I have a Docker running in the background. And from there, I can run this Docker file locally. Now it just stays on my machine. To run it, you must build it first. Yeah, you'll have to go through, once you download Docker, you'll have to go through like setting up your command line. So you have to log in through your command line to Docker, generate an access key. That's very simple. You can totally do it. So while we're here, you can also build, let me go over here. All right, so we've generated a Docker file. We've done this bit. To do that, you can totally ask AI. Or if not, you can copy what I have. Okay, and then to test it locally, you have to build it. So for that, that command is docker build -t name of your app. I'm gonna just use the word demo and then give it a current directory. So that's what the period is for. After that, that's to build it. After that, to run it, you would do docker run -p and then the port that you're running on. For me, it's the port 5000, and I'm mapping it to the port 5000 in the container, and I give it the name of my Docker image, like that. Okay. So that's what we're going to do here. Let me show you this application now. So I do a docker build -t demo dot. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, just type it in the chat. So as we're going, this is building the Docker image. All right, awesome. It looks like it's done. Now we can go ahead and run it. There's one thing to do when you're running though. You can also pass in environment variables. Something I added into the application was in order to make this Docker file work, you needed to pass in the redirect URI. So the redirect URI is comes back to your application on port 5000 to because you're building it in the Docker image. The Docker doesn't cannot recognize redirect URLs unless you pass it in as an environment variable. So we're going to do docker run -p 5000 demo, but we're not going to run this. We have to pass in the environment variable. We need to do -e -e, and then my environment variable is, check real quick. Where is it? Here. Spotify redirect URI. That's right. Yep. By the way, you can follow all of this along in the README that I pushed up earlier today. Okay, so here's the command we're going to run. What's happening here is we're running our Docker image that we built locally. We're passing it in an environment variable signified by the -e. And the environment variable is Spotify redirect URI going to localhost 5000. So this helps the Docker image know how to hey guys, welcome. Hey Bench, Eddie, S1MO. All right, I hit run. Like that, this is working. It says here it's listening at this URL. So I'm going to click it, hit open, and there's my application. Voila. Let me do a little rain. Yay, sparkles. All right, that's my application. Maybe I'll do a quick demo to show you guys what it looks like when it's working. All it does is copy your playlist from Spotify to Tidal. You're going to need a client ID. You're going to need a client secret, and I'm copying this for my own. And you're going to need your username. All right. We went through this in part 1. And then you also need the playlist URI, which you can get from going to your Spotify, picking any playlist. You can use your own playlist. You can use your friend's playlist. You can use any playlist that's out there as long as it's not a radio station. I tried. It doesn't work with radios. So this is a radio station. This would not work. So if I go into, let's say, this one, songs that make me feel human. This is the playlist. Click the three dots over here, come down and go to share and click copy link to playlist. Then copy it. All right, I've clicked it. And then come in here and paste. And you actually can't use the entire URL that's here. You have to use what's right after the playlist slash. Can you guys see this? I think it's too small. Hey guys. I think that's better. All right. You actually can't use this entire URL. You have to just use this bit. Okay? Which means you have to delete everything before it. Right? Not that convenient, actually. What I want to do is I want to upgrade the code so I can use the entire URI. And so I should be able to enter this. The code should be able to extract whatever is after playlist. And that would be the feature improvement we do later. All right, so I'm deleting everything that's not related, right? And that's my playlist URI. I'm going to click sync. And there it is. It's going off. All right. And bam, it is going. The logs are telling me it is successful. The front end is telling me it's successful. Therefore, if I go to Tidal, I should be able to see my playlist there. Voila. Bam. That is my playlist. Songs that make me feel human are in my Tidal, and that's completely copied. Let's see, 6 tracks, 32 minutes. Spotify also 8 tracks, 32 minutes. Is that 8 tracks? No, that's 8 tracks, yeah. So it was able to copy everything. If it doesn't get all of them, what it does is it generates a TXT file, and it creates a file of songs that it didn't find. So just in case, it wasn't able to find a one-to-one copy, it keeps a log of it separately for you here. Very nice. All right, so 11:17, we're on good track. We've done this. Step B, done. Now we're gonna build it for the world. Thank you, Lakinza. It took you years to master what, Dockerizing? With AI these days, things just get a lot easier, All right, so I'm gonna exit out of this terminal. And so I'm no longer running my Docker image. Now what we're gonna do next is build it for the world. Let me give you the commands for that. Here we go. Whoops. All right, there it is. Done. This is the command I'm going to be using. Actually, you know what? Let me just go through it right here in the terminal. Right, so now we're going to build it. To build it, very easy, very simple command, docker build -t, just like you did before. And this time you're going to pass in your Docker username. Okay, that's me. And if you followed part or one of my other streams, you would know that like you have to connect your command line to your Docker account. So this is why it recognizes my username. Okay, and now I'm going to give my app a name. I'm going to call it Spot2 Tidal, and then I'm going to give it a tag. This is another important bit. Oh, let me just turn off these sparkles. I'm sorry. Here we go. It's cute, but very distracting, huh? Then I'm going to give it a tag. So a tag is kind of like a versioning nomenclature. You can use anything. You can use A, B, C. It's a way to iterate. You can use 0.0.1. You can also use just the number 1. It's a version. Some people just do V1, I like 0.1 because the next iteration would be 0.2, and maybe a major upgrade would be like 1.0, something like that. So there's like major, minor, patches. You can look into like why software uses patterns like this when it like tags its versioning. For me, since this is just a demo, I'm just going to do 0.1. And then I'm going to do period for this current directory. I'm going to write -- push -- platform. This is the important bit. The platform is what you're going to build it for. To be honest, you can stop right here and it will build a perfectly working Docker image and publish it into your account. This would work. The problem is it builds it for ARM64, which is a totally different architecture from what NodeOps works on. That's why we have to pass in the flag -- platform. Did I spell that right? Platform, a Linux AMD64, like that. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Kaga. Um, I like to build cool projects. If there's anything you guys think of that, I should be building or would be fun, I'm always open to new ideas. This is something that I use. I actually use this software in my day-to-day life. So I figured, why not turn it into a template where I can earn revenue off of it? Okay. So now I hit enter. This looks good to me. So now it's going through the whole process. It's building just like before. This time it's actually publishing into my Docker Hub. While it's building, I'll talk about what NodeOps templates is. NodeOps template is a way for you to publish your application to the world. I know you guys are all builders. You have a lot of awesome ideas, things that need to come alive. And I know AI has created a way for you to make your ideas come to life. So once you build the application, you must share it somewhere. So not only do you share it, but you can also make money off of it, monetize it. So NodeOps Marketplace is a way for you to do that. Um, After you make an app, just like what we did in part one, you Dockerize it, and then you list it on the NodeOps Marketplace. From there, you can share your template. It's on a market, so you can share your template and earn 20% revenue each time someone uses it. So let's say you make a killer application, somebody really loves to use it, they would go in and every time they run your app, you earn revenue. So uh, yeah, you can make pretty decent earnings. There's definitely some builders in our network that have done well for themselves. Yeah, you also have to promote your application. We help with that too. So that's where marketing comes in. All right, so here we are. We're done. We're done. Let me move my face so you can see. Oops. How do I shift my head? All right, well, I guess I can't shift my head. And we've built it out. Awesome. It's working. I'm just going to confirm that it's there. Let's go to my Docker Hub. Double check that it's there. Refresh. Oh. Well, that's certainly odd. I don't see my app here. I called it demo, right? Is that what I called it? No, I called it spot to title. I don't see it here, and I think I know why. So I guess you're in for an impromptu demo. I actually need to set up my command line. So let's do it real quick. I think I remember deleting my codes because of the last stream. All right, let's go into Docker Hub and then go into, after you sign in and make an account, go into account settings. Come down to, where is it? Personal access tokens on the left. And then, wait a second. It says I used it just now. So it should have worked. Weird, I don't see it. I'm going to do this one more time though. Generate a new token. Give your token a name. I'm gonna call it cursor terminal 2 because I think I already made one. I'm gonna set my expiration date to 0. Make sure your permissions are read and write, at minimum read and write, and then hit generate. Then from here, you're gonna copy these two and place it into your terminal. I'm gonna copy the first command, hit paste. Let me see if I can push this up a little higher. There. Docker login with my username, hit enter, and it's gonna ask for a password. That password is gonna be this token over here. Copy it, paste it, enter. All right, so I've logged in. Now that should be connected. I'm gonna run the Docker push command again. I am double checking that this is the right command that I used. Push platform Linux AMD 64, that's correct. Okay. And yeah, it pushed. Spot to Tidal. Let me refresh again. For some reason, it's just not showing up in my repositories. But I'm gonna assume that this is working because this doesn't actually stop us from. Hey Drewski, welcome. If you're late, you can actually follow step 1 in the first stream. Are you participating in the hackathon? If you are, yeah, you want to ping me and you can always DM me. You can follow us on Build on NodeOps. You can ping me. My Twitter is, let's see, jnodeops. Okay, cool. Okay, we've done this bit. Which means we can move on to, we've published it. All right. We can move on to the NodeOps marketplace. What we've done so far can all be followed along in the first stream. Now moving on to NodeOps. Let's go into the NodeOps marketplace. So the URL is cloud.nodeops.network. Thanks. Okay, and then we're gonna sign in. So at this point, we're pretty much done with the code. We're pretty happy with the way things are. We have a working Docker image. It's been published. Now we want to open it up to the world so people can use it. I mean, it goes for sale, you know, I can start earning money off of it. All right. Now to do that, I'm taking you into the NodeOps marketplace. All right. So the layout is very simple. Like, don't get overwhelmed at all. Let me turn off the chat stream. I love seeing your chats, guys. I wish I could just make it smaller so I can make my desktop a little bigger. But yes, guys, please feel free to DM, ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. That's my job. Let me turn off this bit. All right. Coming into the cloud user interface, don't get overwhelmed. I would like you to ignore everything here except for my templates over here. So the NodeOps infrastructure is, I've been calling it like a decentralized AWS. It's a bunch of servers that come together, and that's what's hosting the application. This is what makes it deepen infrastructure. In order to create this infrastructure, there's like incentive programs, you know, like, you know, if you want to provide idle compute, if you have like a server that you're not using, you can actually earn money off of it by giving us your compute power, and then you earn no tokens in exchange for that. There's all kinds of farmers and yield farmers using our, you know, ecosystem. You as a builder, somebody who's building, you need a place to serve your application. Not only to serve it, but also to earn money off of it. That's what templates is. So pay attention to these two this one, My Templates and also Template Marketplace. Template Marketplace are a bunch of apps that have already made it to the marketplace. They're already earning revenue. You can see how many times they've been deployed. For example, this Uno node was deployed 556 times. Peace of Mind, a wallet tracker, deployed 40 times. Each time it was deployed, the owner, the wallet that's connected to it, earned a little bit of the revenue. So yeah, there's a bunch of like templates here. Today, what we're gonna do is take the app we made and place it here. It goes through an approval process, but we're gonna go through the first step of submitting it to the marketplace. So let's come into My Templates and go ahead on the upper right, click on Create Template. Okay, you come into Create Template. If it's your first time, you may see something called Sign Up as a provider. So over there, you just sign up, your username, your whatever, your image, and some stuff about yourself. And once you get to this point where you're creating a template, this is everything that has to do with your app. Think of this form as your app, or when you're submitting it to like your the Android Play Store or something, or the Apple App Store. You need to give it a thumbnail, and that's what this is. A lot of people confuse this with the Docker image. No, it's not the Docker image. It's actually a PNG or JPEG of your application. And so you need to hit, you have to upload an image here. So I don't actually have an image ready. What I would do here is actually I would use AI to generate a logo for myself. So let's go into ChatGPT, or actually, yeah, ChatGPT. Because I think AI is here to stay. We must learn how to use it. So what I want ChatGPT to do is to generate a 400 by 400 pixel, right? Was that what it asked for? Yeah, 400 by 400 pixel image in PNG or JPEG of an icon for an app that automates copying playlists from Spotify to Tidal. Okay. Let's see if that works. Okay, I have to log in. That's okay. Yeah, it's pretty seamless. Yes, Drewski is saying that it's a seamless application. Yeah, it is. I do the very hard job of showing you how to do something very seamless. Thank you, Idris. Yep. I think AWS does have servers in different regions of the world. That's very true, but it doesn't have like you cannot provide compute for AWS. Like if I had a server myself, I cannot give it to AWS and say, "Hey, let me," or make money off of it. That's the part that makes it decentralized. It's that like the network is made out of people and their servers. And NodeOps as an orchestration layer allows let me see if this worked or not. It's not working. NodeOps as an orchestration layer allows for that for your app to have experience zero downtime. It doesn't stay in a single server. In AWS, when you're deploying, it stays in a single server. If that goes down or you forget to pay the bill, it goes down. But by hosting it on NodeOps, you have like an infrastructure that like will we'll talk about this maybe another time. But yeah, there's a bunch of servers, and then it decides where your app will sit if there's enough if there's bandwidth for it. And if it doesn't, if it runs out of bandwidth or it requires more compute power, it switches your application seamlessly into another server. So you experience zero downtime. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice. I have water here. Okay, I have an icon. Is this it? Oh, it's kind of an ugly looking icon, but I guess I'll stick with it. Let's go back here. I'm gonna upload what I just generated. Yeah, not that impressive. And then I'm gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call it Spotify 2 Tidal, not very original. So this is an app name. This is what's gonna show up in your marketplace. The icon, your title, as well as the description of your application. So to market your app, you must have a good description and a good overview and good use cases. Each each template that's out there, there's like imagine someone coming into the marketplace and looking at your template. If they have no context of who you are and what you do, this is all they have. So I encourage you to have a good description, good write up, take your time and meet the minimum character requirement so people will know what your application is about. I also encourage you to create like a demo video down here, like a tutorial link. Just a quick click through, talk through it, maybe let people know how to set up your, if you need any environment variables or anything to use your application, as well as a way to contact you. So include your Twitter URL, your Telegram, if there's anything you need. But so yeah, so we'll go through this motion. As for me, this is this is a demo application. So let me write a quick description for it. And while I'm writing this, I'm gonna turn on the stream so you guys can chat. I think what's going on in the chat is a very good discussion. But I'm sorry, I don't have the bandwidth in my mind to read it. But let me get back to it at the end. So let me write a quick description. Actually, I just did a time check. It's 11:38, which means we have about 20 minutes left of the live stream. I'm gonna do a shortcut. I'm actually going to take this and paste it a few times to meet the minimum. Don't do what I'm doing, guys. Actually spend time on your application. If you do this, it will probably cause your template to be rejected. When you come down to overview, list out any requirements you need, API keys, environment variables, anything, any limitations. Okay. And for category, select the category that you think fits your app. For me, I think it's automation. I'm not using any AI. There's no analytics. It's just a very simple automated task. And then write down your use cases. Like, why would someone use your app? For me, it's like anyone interested in DJing and using Tidal with Rekordbox or Serato, and they need access to their playlist. So that's my use case. Then coming down to the bottom, you can also turn your template private. What does that mean? So your template, when it's public, people can see where your Docker image is, including your username and the title of your app, which for me was Spotify to Tidal, and the tag. So you can see your entire YAML in public. Sorry, one second. My laptop is dying. So you can toggle these settings and either make it public, the way I'm doing it now, or you can turn it private so no one can see it. We had an issue where people were copying each other's YAMLs and making duplicate templates with it. Not cool. And if you make your template private here, only the owner can deploy it. For me, I'm trying to put it in the marketplace, so it must be public. So I'm gonna turn both off. And for prerequisites, if you need anything else to run your template, you can go ahead and turn this on, but for me, I don't, so I'm turning it off. All right. And when everything's ready, the yellow button next will light up. All right, from here comes the final stretch, guys. Here's the YAML. This is a sample YAML. All right, this is not your YAML, it's a sample YAML. What you do is you come in here and plug and play, copy what you need, and then replace what you don't. For line number 7, line number 2 is the version number. Very similar to the tag. This, I highly recommend this tag should match what you've done for your Docker image. We did 0.1 for our Docker image, should be 0.1 for here. And then line 7 is the name of your service. For me, it's Spotify to Tidal. Do not use dashes here. They don't work. They don't compile, so don't use any dashes. You can use like a snake case like that, but I like to keep it simple and do all lowercase. And then this is the image. You can delete all of this and give it your username. Juliana Peace, Spotify to Tidal, which was the name of our Docker image, and 0.1. All right, image policy, pull always. Line 15 are any commands that you want run. You actually don't need this because if your image, your Docker file already has the command to run, you don't need to put anything here. Arguments, this is where I need my environment variable right here. So, oops, what happened? Hey, here we are. Port 5000 is where I'm running my app, okay? And you do want to expose this port because that's where the user is going to be interacting with it. Right? And under environment variables, we actually do have an environment variable, which is, let me go back and copy it. Spotify redirect URI. So what you're doing is when you set the environment variable here with this name, it's asking, it means that every time someone comes to deploy your template, they have to input their own Spotify redirect URI. And then come in here and set a default. This is optional. If you don't have a default for it, you can absolutely just delete this. Okay. And then under info, you would write, this is your Spotify redirect URI. Actually, I'm gonna actually set the default to, is it? To here, just in case there isn't. Like I said, this is optional. Okay, and if you remember, we actually set this when we were creating our Spotify app. We don't need this, so we can delete that. It's very light. It's just a script and a small application, so I'm going to keep it just the way it is. If you find that you can absolutely turn these values up. By the way, the user who is deploying your app also has the ability to change these variables. Okay. I think that looks good to me. I'm going to copy it and bring it over into Cursor. So I can take a look at it one more time. So new file, nodeops YAML. Okay, and paste. Okay. Oh, a good thing I caught that. I actually called it spot to title, not Spotify to title. Spot to title. Port 5000, environment variables look good. Okay, that's good. I'm going to copy and put that back over here. Paste. Okay. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and send for review. That's where this button is. And, oh no. All right, let me talk about this. So when I hit send for review, what happens is that this YAML goes into a review process with the NodeOps team. They go ahead and they test their application, check that it's working, make sure it's up to code, and then you either get an approval or a rejection. If it's rejected, there's a comment, so you get that, and they work with you one-on-one to make sure your application is working. Most likely than not, you do make it through if it's like if your app works. So what I did here is that I just sent it for review. Okay, and I actually got an error message. It says it's unable to fetch my image, which is aligned with what happened earlier because we were able to build and push up, but it didn't show up in my Docker Hub. All right, so that's like a quick litmus test to see if it's working or not. I have to go back and debug, but I don't want to lose my progress, so I'm going to click Save as a Draft. Oh, shoot. It's not working. All right, let me switch this back to an app that I know is there. Demo app. So I can just save it real quick. Let me go to my repositories. Demo underscore app 0.7. Here's a previous. I just want this to save now because I don't want to lose my progress. Okay. So there's my app. It's public and not yet sent for review. Let's go and debug why it didn't show up in my Docker Hub. Okay, let me open my Docker. I'm going to spend about 2 minutes doing this, and if I can't figure it out, we're going to move on. Go into images. Oh, there's my build. Let me talk through what I'm thinking right now. So to debug what's happening, I'm going to check my Docker desktop. I also did my command line. And then I'll just, we'll do some live debugging together. So I can see here, this is my local Docker desktop dashboard. These are all the images I've worked on in the past. You can see I have stuff going back from months ago. But right down here is something I worked on 28 minutes ago. That's it. That's the latest one. So I can see it here. The issue is it's not published publicly. Oh, yeah. That's very, very strange. Because I can push it like this, but I could have sworn, here, I'm going to do a history. Could have sworn I did push it. Well, anywho, for the sake of time, I'm going to publish it to Docker Hub. Cool. So while it's pushing, I'm going to answer some of the questions here. I see Drewski said, is that nothing? Most blockchain firms leverage decentralized file storage networks. We actually don't provide storage at the moment. It's not stable. We cannot guarantee that if you host, but obviously you could Dockerize your app. I'm sorry, your database, and deploy like a MongoDB and put that up with your and put that into your app. Um, the thing is that we don't do snapshots right now. We don't currently support that. I'm not saying that we won't support that in the future. It's just that if your application needed to be restarted, we don't save that state. So we can't be a storage provider at the moment. You're saying Filecoin has a similar ethos, only NodeOps scales more than them. Yeah, Filecoin is, I'm not super familiar with their technology, but I've used it a few times to store my, Filecoin's IPFS, right? And to store my store pointers, Pinata and stuff like that. I rely on them to store my stuff more stably than NodeOps. All right. So I should have pushed it by now. Okay. So now we have a Docker image public. Spot the title published 1 minute ago. I don't know why I published before, it's never happened to me before, but it's there now, which means we can go back to NodeOps Marketplace and go ahead and edit our YAML. So to go in, let's click into it, come into the YAML, or was it edit, and edit YAML. And now I'm going to type in spot to title 0.1 and then send for review. All right, see how we don't have that error message anymore? So congratulations, you have submitted your first app to the NodeOps Marketplace. What can you do from here? You can also deploy a preview. We have about 6 minutes left. You can deploy a preview for about 10 minutes. And here's your overview. This is everything you typed out before. Hopefully you did a better job than me. Use cases and your YAML. This is what we worked on earlier. So this is totally public. Anyone can see it. They can see your username. They can see your app name and versioning. So let me come back to here and update our progress. So we did step 5 and we submitted it. Okay. I don't think we have enough time to do step 6. Step 6 would include adding a new feature. I'll just talk through it real quick. If you were to, let's say your template goes live and it gets approved, you would, if you wanted to introduce a new feature, you come in here to your code base, introduce a new feature, edit your code, whatever it needs to be, and then rerun the same commands we did earlier. So you would rebuild. Oh, I can see what happened. It's because I had a typo. Mhm. So you rebuild your command just like before, except this time you would update the tag. So your version number would be 0.2. After you build and publish it with 0.2 tag, come into the YAML and then you would edit this and do version 0.2 over here. Every time you edit your YAML, there will be a review process done again. And so the team does it all over again. Review, checks your YAML, checks your app, you either get approved or rejected. Then um, then once it's approved, your app has the new feature. As far as I know, I think anybody who deployed 0.1, your old version, doesn't automatically get the latest version unless they redeploy again. So to like notify users if you need to do that. So we have about 4 minutes left. Let me do one last thing. I'm going to deploy a preview. Okay. So I click deploy, and your preview only lasts for 10 minutes. As you can see, here's my environment variable, Spotify redirect URI. This is the default that's already pre-filled. We set that up in our YAML. If you give users a demo on how to set this up, they can go ahead and enter their own callback URI here. For now, I'm just going to keep it the way it is and see what happens. And then the variables that they can update as well with max values 1,000, 1,024 if needed. So I'm going to click preview. Okay. And it is deploying. While it's deploying, let me talk about our hackathon. All right. We have 2 hackathons going on. The Dora Hacks $5,000 prize, and that is actually ending this Friday. We did an extension. It was supposed to end last Friday, and now it's this Friday. We have a lot of awesome builders. I think 150 something builders, and I think a whole bunch of projects. So go ahead and submit your project. It's exactly what we went through today. Building an application, Dockerizing it, putting on the Notice Marketplace, and that's all you need to meet the minimum qualifications. We also have an AWS bounty. I think it's 600 in, sorry, 600. The price is the price is 1,000 in no tokens. And same thing, same qualifications. Building an application, Dockerizing it, putting on the Notice Marketplace. Yeah. If anybody has any questions, I can answer. Okay. So my preview has been deployed. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so I clicked into it, and if you look over here, it was deployed on a service called Romantic Albantani. This is completely randomized. You can change in your settings, like where your application sits. You can set preferences. For the most part, it's randomized. It chooses the container that has the least amount of activity and has the ability and the capacity to load your application, and it like spins it up there real quick. You can see how much CPU is using, how much memory is using. You can see the machine that's on. You can also see the logs, so you can see it's running. You can also start your workload. And then to see your application, you click this for endpoints. And voila, that's your application. Now this is a URL I can share with anybody for about 10 minutes. Just to prove for you guys, I'm going to send it across the board. So you guys have a copy of the URL. For the next 10 minutes or so, this link will be, and you can absolutely use it. Client ID, secret username, copy your playlist, and it goes into your Tidal account. All right. I think that's it. We're coming down to the last minute. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with me through the whole hour. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me or reach out to me on Discord or Twitter. And good luck. If you're building any applications, we'd love to check it out. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.